What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you're enjoying this Victory Polo Monday. That's right. The Dallas Cowboys did win on Sunday afternoon against the Houston Texans. I know it didn't happen in the way that we all would have liked. However, the Dallas Cowboys got to put that game in the win column as opposed to the loss. An ugly win is 100 million, thousand, any number you want to come up with times better than a pretty loss. And the Dallas Cowboys are 10-3 as we move on to the middle of December. We're going to talk a little bit about the playoff picture and what it looks like in the NFC ahead of tonight's Monday Night Football game. The Arizona Cardinals are an NFC team, but they're not really in the mix right now. So even if you're watching this video after Monday night, the Cardinals result won't impact things all too much. I do think the Cardinals are going to lose for whatever it's worth. First things first, though, right before I started to put this video together, the Dallas Cowboys made a roster move. We had heard all along for the last week about how the Cowboys are interested in signing a veteran wide receiver who used to wear number 13 for an NFL team that wore uniforms that were blue and white. And on Monday, after the Cowboys win against the Texans, they finally did it. Not the one you're thinking of. The Dallas Cowboys signed wide receiver T.Y. Hilton. T.Y., of course, a 2012 draft pick of the Indianapolis Colts, part of the Andrew Luck class. That's where T.Y. has played all of his career. He has not played since last season, has not played at all with an NFL team, obviously, so far here in 2022. If you are a fan of the Blog of the Boys YouTube channel, if you're not, ouch, that hurts a lot. But please do subscribe if you haven't already. We've done several videos, obviously, since the offseason. And one of the things we talked about is we were trying to put together this roster and trying to figure out positions for the Cowboys to attack in free agency. We obviously had high levels of interest in T.Y. Hilton way back then. The Cowboys did end up signing a veteran free agent wide receiver, of course, after trading away Amari Cooper. And it was James Washington. And it's interesting that this Hilton move happens just one day after James Washington finally made his debut with the team. I don't know that I would read too much into the status of James Washington. I don't know that the T.Y. Hilton move suggests anything along those lines. But what it does suggest is that the Cowboys clearly do feel like they need to add something, need to add another option in terms of their wide receiver room. That is why they were so connected to Odell Beckham Jr. And the big holdup, the big issue with Odell was that the Cowboys feel like they need somebody who can contribute now. And Odell just simply isn't at that point. Obviously, there were all the quotes last week about how he doesn't feel like he needs to play in the regular season, et cetera, et cetera. The Cowboys are focused on the 2022 season, not the 2023 offseason. They feel like they can win the Super Bowl right here, right now. They need somebody to help them out. You think about it, CeeDee Lamb obviously evolving into the wide receiver one that we all always dreamed that he could be. Not the best performance against Houston, but no big deal. Michael Gallup has come along strong as of late. Again, it's going to be a little bit difficult to find anybody who really shined against Houston, but for the most part, CeeDee and Michael Gallup have really proven that they're ready to roll as far as the playoffs are concerned. But the Cowboys are still kind of absent that third receiver, that third player in 11 personnel. We kind of hoped it could be James Washington, and I don't think that we should overreact to one game. He was only targeted one time, and he got rocked as he tried to make the catch and ultimately wasn't able to haul it in. But Jalen Tolbert has been a disappointment. So I think for me, I don't know that I have a hard take or a hard stance or a hard line that I can kind of pull out of the T.Y. Hilton news. But it does prove that obviously trading away Amari Cooper wasn't the brightest football move that the Cowboys could have made at the time in the offseason, and that, relying on Jalen Tolbert, maybe was something they believed in at the time, but hasn't panned out. And so the Cowboys had to make an adjustment. They had to get somebody in. T.Y. Hilton is not the burner, not the player that can take the top off of defenses entirely the way he kind of made his money early on in his NFL career, but he is without question the fastest receiver on the Cowboys now that he is a member of the Dallas Cowboys. So T.Y. Hilton, in 11 personnel, if you're rocking with CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, T.Y. Hilton, you now give Dak Prescott, like we said, a viable option down the field. We know that Dak Prescott is a very accurate quarterback relative to the field when it comes to throwing deep down the field. And so if T.Y. Hilton can provide that, that is something that is really going to help the Cowboys out as we move along through December and into the playoffs. But speaking of, I know that morale is a little bit down. We talked about on the postgame show here on the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel, presented by Righteous Felon Craft Jerky, about how Sunday's win was kind of a moral loss. It's a win, and that's ultimately what matters the most, but you can take away the lessons. You can take away kind of the results that a loss would have brought. You can take away the seriousness. You can evaluate things. You can learn from things, et cetera, et cetera. And so while I understand that we are all a little bit down in the dumps, maybe a little bit doom and gloom and feeling a little bit sorry for ourselves and moping around, the Cowboys did win. But beyond that, the Cowboys also got some help. If you check out bloggingtheboys.com, you should every single day. We have articles coming out constantly. One of the things we work on every week is a rooting guide, things that you should be rooting for as a Dallas Cowboys fan that are happening across the NFL. Now, obviously, the way this season has gone, we've been rooting against the Philadelphia Eagles each and every week, which is obviously always the case, but we have also been rooting against the Minnesota Vikings. Once the Cowboys beat the Vikings a month ago, it became possible for Dallas to surpass them if they wound up taking a stronghold in the NFC East. That has not happened yet. The Cowboys still need some help if they want to control their own destiny, because they do not at the moment. But if the Cowboys do get the last bit of help they need with regards to the division, they do control their own destiny against the Minnesota Vikings. Let's take a look at the playoff picture in the NFC after Week 14. Like I said, the Arizona Cardinals yet to play at the time that I'm putting this video together, but they will not really impact things in the long run, at least at this moment in time. Our division leaders, the Philadelphia Eagles with a 12-1 record, they did lock up a playoff berth. At the very least, the Eagles are guaranteed to be a wild card team here this season. They are headed to the playoffs for the second year in a row. The Minnesota Vikings at 10-3 are your 2 seed. They have not locked up the NFC North. They could have done so on Sunday with a win against the Detroit Lions, but they did not. That was one of the games that I talked about with Pete Sweeney and Jeremy Reisman on Monday's episode of Monday Football Monday on the SB Nation NFL show, if you want to go listen to that. But the Vikings, the 2 seed for now. The San Francisco 49ers got that win with Brock Purdy. They're the 3 seed. I think it's funny how the 49ers, the 4-9, are 9-4, just kind of a fun palindrome in that sense. I think we all agree they are the favorites in the NFC West, especially with the Cardinals losing on Sunday afternoon to the Carolina Panthers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers can feel the Panthers coming up right behind them. The Bucs lost, obviously, to those Niners. They are now 6-7, but they do lead the NFC South, which is why they're sitting there in that 4 spot. If the playoffs started today, they would host the Dallas Cowboys. If you're new to the NFL, you don't know how all this works. The number 1 seed right now, the Philadelphia Eagles, gets a bye in the wild card round. The 2 seed, that would be the Vikings, hosts the worst wild card team. The 3 seed hosts the second wild card team, and the 4 seed hosts the best wild card team. That's just kind of the way this has always worked. So the wild cards in order at the moment: the Dallas Cowboys, our Cowboys, are the top wild card team with a 10-3 record. The Washington Commanders, who were on bye last week, They moved up not only into the playoff picture, but solidly into the playoff picture at the 6th seed with that 7-5-1 in record. They tied against the Giants the last game they played, and they will play them again this week. 2 straight games in a row. The Commanders have the Giants this week's on Sunday Night Football at FedEx Field in Landover. Those Giants, thanks to the Seahawks loss to the Panthers that I mentioned, hang on, and the Giants are the 7th seed right now, 7-5-1. Those in the hunt teams: Seattle, first team out, 7-6. Detroit, 6-7. We'll see if they can get in. The Green Bay Packers coming back from their bye, they are 5-8. And so if the playoffs started today, you can hear my son in the background wants to be a part of the video, just like Dad. The New York Giants would visit the Minnesota Vikings in the wildcard round. The Washington Commanders would visit the San Francisco 49ers in the wildcard round. And the Dallas Cowboys would visit the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the wildcard round. And if you cannot figure this out, all 4 NFC East teams are currently in the playoff picture. This has never happened before because the NFL only instituted the 3rd wildcard spot in 2020. So it's only been possible for an entire division to make the playoffs for 2 years now. But right now, if the playoffs began today, the NFC East would become the first division to do it. A little bit of NFL history. The NFC East also the first and only division where each and every single team has a Super Bowl title. I think this shakes out nicely. I think it's fair if you're worried about Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Even though they look so bad, Tom Brady is 6-0 against the Cowboys. And so if you're wondering what to root for, if you're wondering the way we're going to style our rooting guide moving forward, we're going to be rooting for those Carolina Panthers. We want to see the Buccaneers fall out of the NFC South race and the Carolina Panthers get in there in the event that the Cowboys do not win the NFC East, which right now that looks like the most likely outcome here. If the Cowboys have to travel in the wild card round, I think I speak for all of us in saying we would rather them travel to Carolina to take on Sam Darnold's Panthers with an interim head coach and Steve Wilkes than Tom Brady's Buccaneers. It's just, we're all afraid of Tom Brady. It's okay. We can admit it, despite the fact that they have looked very bad. If the Cowboys get one Eagles loss, and that can be any game outside of the one that we are hoping the Cowboys give them, obviously, on Christmas Eve, then the Dallas Cowboys control their destiny, not just towards the NFC East, but towards the number 1 seed in the NFC. And to be hypothetical about this week, the Philadelphia Eagles visit the Chicago Bears. Say the Eagles lost that game. Say the Eagles lost to the Bears on Sunday afternoon. The Cowboys would be playing for first place in the NFC next Saturday on Christmas Eve. That is, of course, assuming the Cowboys take care of business themselves and beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that is kind of a look at where things stand through week 14. A lot of things can change in the final weeks of the regular season. We have 4 weeks to go, and we're going to have you covered throughout all of them here at Blogging the Boys. So make sure you do subscribe to the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. My name is RJ Ochoa. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at RJ Ochoa, on TikTok at RJ.Ochoa. You can send me an email, rj.ochoa@sbnation.com, or you can leave a comment below, and we'll do our best to get to those. Also, my son, who you heard in the background, maybe, I don't know how sensitive the microphone is, does not have any social media yet, but maybe when he's old enough, he can join the Blogging the Boys team and make some Dallas Cowboys content. For now, I bid you adieu. Congratulations to T.Y. Hilton on joining the Dallas Cowboys. We'll see you all next time.